In the heart of Kenya, where the sun paints the hills gold and the soil burns red beneath your feet, there's a small village called Kijiji. Lela. Folktales with Shafi presents you whispers beneath the Mugumo Tree. Now get seated and enjoy the story. Life here is slow, filled with the laughter of children and the hum of crickets. At the edge of the village stands an ancient Mugumo tree, massive, sacred, and deeply feared. The elders always warned, never speak a promise beneath that tree, because the tree remembers. It was under this very tree that two young hearts met. Kamau and Achieng. Kamau, the son of a poor carpenter, was known for his sharp mind and quiet courage. Every day he'd walk 5 kilometers to school, his dreams tucked between the pages of his tattered books. Achieng was the chief's daughter. She had everything: good clothes, good meals, a future already planned. But she longed for Kamau's free-spirited laughter. Their friendship started with borrowed notes and shy smiles. But by the time the rains returned, it had blossomed into something much deeper. Every evening, they would meet beneath the Mugumo Tree, talking about a life beyond their village, Nairobi, universities, the sound of busy streets. One day, Achieng. Kamau would say, "We'll leave this place. We'll write our own story." And she would laugh, her eyes sparkling. "Then promise me, you won't forget me when you make it." He took her hand, his voice a soft whisper. "No matter what happens, we will always find our way back to each other." As he spoke, the ancient tree creaked softly, as if it were listening. A faint whisper, carried on the wind, seemed to echo promises made here must be kept. They laughed it off, completely unaware that something ancient had just sealed their words. Weeks turned into months, and their love deepened. But a love so pure, like the scent of rain, can't be hidden for long. Soon, word reached Chief Odhiambo. His anger burned hotter than the midday sun. "You will not disgrace my house with a poor boy," he thundered. He forbade Achieng. From ever seeing Kamau again, and placed guards to keep them apart. Just like that, their world was shattered. That night, heartbroken, Kamau stood alone beneath the Mugumo Tree. He whispered into the darkness, his voice trembling with desperation. "If it takes power, or wealth, or anything, I will come back for her." A sudden, cold wind whipped through the branches. They swayed violently, and a voice returned, deep, old, and chillingly soft. "Then give what you have, and take what you desire." The next morning, Kamau was gone. Some villagers said he'd gone to Nairobi to seek his fortune. Others whispered that he'd walked into the forest at night and made a deal no mortal man should ever make. Months crawled by. Achieng's father arranged her marriage to a rich man's son from Kisumu. The village buzzed with preparations for the celebration: drums, dancers, joyful shouts. But inside Achieng's heart, there was only a deafening silence. Then, one evening, as a storm brewed over the hills, she felt a strange chill creep into her room. She looked out her window and froze. Standing at the gate, drenched in rain, was Kamau. He looked older, stronger, but something about him was terrifyingly wrong. His eyes, once so full of light, were now as dark and distant as a starless night. "Achieng," he said softly, his voice cutting through the rain. "I told you I'd come back." Her heart pounded against her ribs. "Where have you been?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. He just smiled, a haunting, empty smile. "Meet me under the Mugumo Tree. One last time." Torn between love and a creeping dread, she went. The tree loomed over her, its ancient form seeming to pulse with a life of its own. Its roots twisted like serpents across the ground. Kamau was there, waiting. His skin was unnaturally pale, his voice eerily calm. "You promised," he said, his dark eyes fixed on hers. "Do you remember?" The air grew heavy, thick, and cold. As Achieng stared, she saw something moving in the shadows behind him, the faint, tormented faces of others, trapped and reaching out. The tree itself began to groan, and 1,000 whispers swirled around her, all chanting the same words. Promises made here must be kept. The horrifying truth crashed down on her. Kamau had traded his soul to the tree to fulfill his promise. He was no longer just a man. He was a vessel for the tree's ancient power, a collector of souls bound by their own broken vows. Falling to her knees, tears streaming down her face, Achieng cried out, "Kamau, I release you. I release you from our promise." For a moment that stretched into an eternity, everything went silent. The whispers ceased. The wind died. Then Kamau's face softened. The darkness in his eyes faded, revealing the boy she once loved. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice filled with a profound sense of peace. "The tree will finally let me rest." He gave her one last, genuine smile, and then vanished, dissolving into dust that settled among the gnarled roots. When the sun rose, only Achieng was left, soaked and trembling, but alive. The Mugumo tree stood perfectly still, silent once more. Years later, Achieng became a teacher at Lela Secondary School, and every year she would tell her students the story. Her voice steady, but her eyes filled with a deep sorrow. "Never make promises under a Mugumo tree," she'd warn, "unless you are ready to keep them, no matter the cost." And they say that sometimes, on quiet nights in Kijiji, Lela, when the wind sighs through the hills, if you listen very, very closely, you can still hear the Mugumo tree whispering her name. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into Kenyan folklore. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe for more tales from around the world. See you next time.